Welcome to a present from the past.
The show for all your paranormal needs.
All right. Thanks again for tuning in to Presents from the Past. My name is Weldon Trantham, and as always, we will have my co-host, Mama Tosh.
Hello.
So today's topic is going to be poltergeist.
Oh,
Fun, fun, fun. Poltergeist, huh?
right.
So now I'm gonna go off of the definition I've picked up from ASAP, learning what a poltergeist is. Now, if you look at the literal translation from German, poltergeist is noisy ghost.
Right.
But if you start looking at um, some of the definitions, at least the definition given to us from Rick Moran, who founded ASAP, and the great person that he was, and all the tools and techniques that he gave us over the years is just thank you very much, Rick.
Mm-hmm.
You gave us a lot to use and a lot to study with. Um, but from what I've learned over the years, the definitions with the poltergeist there is normally it happens with a teenage child, most often a female,
Mm-hmm.
that is going through pretty much puberty at the time. You have
Mm-hmm.
so many changes going on, and then there's a negative energy that's brought into the house. It could be negative energy or entity, but from Rick's definition, it's more of just an energy
Mm-hmm.
that the child feeds off of, or it feeds off the child, and is used to move stuff around, maybe cause some damage. I've even heard of one investigation that we went to where there was actual scratches given from this poltergeist.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it feeds off of a negative energy that's already in the house.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's your thought on that, Natasha?
Um, I I will say I can understand the female going through puberty and all that energy, but I don't think it's every female, and I don't think it's always a female. I think it is someone that has abilities that has not developed their abilities per se, and therefore it is manifesting. Um, and even those that have abilities and know they have abilities, if you don't get those out, if you don't let out that negative energy within you, it can manifest as well, um, and and cause a quote a poltergeist environment.
So pretty much what we're saying is like the movie Poltergeist from way back when,
Mm-hmm.
kind of just made up and ran with.
Well, it was a noisy ghost,
But
but as far as all that was ex- experienced and all that obviously was Hollywood.
right, definitely, definitely. And I mean that's just. I think the problem is though you start mentioning the word poltergeist, and a lot of people automatically that pops into their mind that movie from the '80s where you got Carol Ann and you have the little lady, creepy.
Right.
Carolyn, Carolyn. Yeah, I'm sorry. She still creeps me out to this day. But yeah, I think a lot of people go back and see that movie, and that's what they automatically associate with Poltergeist.
Right.
And if you were to break down that movie, a lot of the stuff that's happening in that movie is actually the location where it was built,
Right.
and it just happened to be like a tuning fork for all the evil entities and evil, or just all the ghost activities that was in that area.
Right. Almost like a vortex
Right.
type thing.
So, just so y'all get the right idea, the movie Poltergeist is nothing near what an actual poltergeist is.
Mhm.
Okay, so I I've gone on one investigation where there was a poltergeist or what was believed to be a poltergeist
Mhm.
activity. Um, Me personally, I do not have a whole lot of experience with poltergeists,
Mhm.
so it's kind of hard for me to like the most interesting thing I've seen move is a string for a light to turn on. I haven't seen like a book picking up thrown across across the room or anything like that. So um, my experience with poltergeist is very, very limited, and I kind of have to just gravitate towards the definition of it
Mhm.
as to what it is.
Mhm.
So that's where I'm coming from.
Mine is personal experiences. As far as what I have learned, um, experiences myself as well as what others have told me. So I truly believe it, you know that the poltergeist is quote a noisy entity, and it's basically it's like I said, energy that's built up, and it from a person that is their skills, their gifts are underdeveloped,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean that makes perfect sense. I mean, in my mind, when it comes to um, people with gifts or with special skills that either they don't know what they are or whatever, they normally get a um, exposure to them at a very young age, and I kind of have the feeling like the person either has a choice at one point to accept it and go with it,
Mm-hmm.
or turn it off completely. And if they turn it off completely, they're cut from it. And you know, and the reason I say this is I'll give an experience. I'm not going to say any name because this person is super close to me and does not believe in this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But they said at a young age they would have to go climb in bed with their sisters, and the sister would be like, "Why are you climbing in bed with me?" And they would say, "Because I'm tired of seeing dead people in my room."
Right. Mm-hmm.
And now this person, much older, nothing like that happens with, and they won't even bring up anything about it. They don't even like to talk about when it used to happen. I found out through his sister
Mm-hmm.
that it happened.
Right. Right.
And so that's why I kind of give the idea, I get the idea that they can choose to either go with it or, experience it more or explore it. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Explore it more. Or they can choose to cut it off. And if they choose to cut it off, it's taken from them not to return.
And I don't, as far as him cutting it off, I don't think you can truly cut it off. I think you will always have it. I think then that's when things start to build up. So if you have that gift and you have turned it off, it's like it builds up, almost like you take a 2 liter Coke or whatever and you shake it,
Yeah.
and that pressure and somehow you have to let it out and that energy out, and so that energy goes out and then it manifests into something. I truly believe that, and if you don't properly get it out, then that can happen. And I think that's what some of these poltergeists are, is these people, young people, young adults, whatever, and even older adults don't know. Either they don't know, try to turn it off, and so forth, and then it just builds, and therefore you have these poltergeists. I've tried holding mine down, turning it off, and you truly don't turn it off. It's happening, and whether or not that person, I think they're still experiencing it. I think they're just not acknowledging it, and that's the difference.
And that may be very, very well true. I mean, this person just they won't talk about it. And when they found out that I was kind of getting into ASAP and all this other stuff, they're like, "That's cool." And at first they were very almost standoffish about it.
Right.
I say, ghosts don't exist. I don't know why you want to get involved in that. And
Mm-hmm.
That's just a waste of your time and all this other stuff. And now, now that I'm doing podcasts and everything else, they kind of say, "You're going to do another podcast about this? Huh? What's your podcast going to talk about?"
Mm-hmm.
And so they're a little bit more interested,
Right.
but not quite interested enough to actually go out and do anything with us.
And that may be because they don't feel they have a support system. I know growing up, I didn't have a support system. So, yes, I would see entities beside my bed, in my closet, down the hallway. I would see these things, feel them, and I can't tell my parents because you get thrown in the loony bin per se, you know. And I hate to say loony bin, so no offense to anyone, but that was it. You were deemed crazy.
Especially back in the day, even what 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I would say even 10, 15 years ago, if you came out and said, "Well, I saw this" or "I witnessed this," people would be like,
Right.
I mean, it really wasn't until like these ghost adventure shows and ghost hunters and everything started getting popular that people started going, okay, maybe there is something going on out there.
And that is true. Taps, being the number one show that did open everyone's eyes up. Okay, yeah, maybe there is something. And then it also brought these people that, hey, I am experiencing stuff and I'm not crazy.
Right.
And there's a whole community out there.
Right.
And so that really helped a lot. And that's what, when I was looking for a team, that's what I was looking for. And I had the mentor. I had Bill as a mentor, and he was great. He is great. He's still my mentor. And so I didn't have to quote close it off because I did. There was one big incident that after it all, I said, no, that's it.
Yeah.
And tried to shut it off, but you're not fully turning it off. You're just not acknowledging it.
It's sort of like the tea kettle on the stove, just sitting there whistling and whistling and whistling,
Right.
and eventually it's going to explode.
Right. And things were moving. Things were disappearing. Things were. And even here lately, if I don't let out that energy that's in, it does manifest. And,
Right.
You've investigated my house, and there was one spot, and they said this is where all that energy is.
Yeah.
Instead of coming out into the whole house,
Yeah.
it was centered in one spot. And so I think that's what happens with Poltergeist. It's the same thing. It's that energy, and it's not so much locked in one area now. It's
Right.
it's out more.
Right. Right. Yeah, and I mean with Poltergeist, and like you said, it doesn't necessarily have to be a girl. Just in the definition that had been given to me, it's more apt to happen, or more likely to happen with a young girl,
Right.
than anybody else. But it's not that does not exclude everybody. It's just saying that it's more likely to happen.
Likely. Right.
And I think as far as negative energies, it doesn't always have to be a negative energy,
No.
but it just seems like, okay, this is a guy trying to dive into the mind of a pubescent female with all the tortures and turmoils that's probably going on in her mind and throughout her body, that at that point probably everything is negative.
Right.
So it's going to feed off the energy that's given to it.
Right.
So, I mean, you're going to have hatred toward, mom, dad, whatever, or another sibling, and that energy is going to act out on that and more focus on whoever the other person is or the other entity is.
Right. Right. And I don't feel, like you said, negativity. I don't think it's always negative. Moving objects, knocking on a door, rattling a door, knocking on a wall, whatever. I don't think it's always negative. I think it's just its way, that energy trying to come out. Now, do I think that things can manifest or feed off of it? Sure. If you're messing with things that you're not supposed to, or you're calling things in that you're not supposed to, and that energy's there, I think it's almost like a feeding trough almost.
That's a whole nother chapter on its own.
Right.
When you have someone that's trying to draw in something and eventually give it its energy to live off of,
Right.
or feed on.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just have so many crazy things happen with that.
Right.
That's where Ouija boards, people like I talk about, don't get Ouija boards. Don't
Yeah,
mess
that
with
is
them.
one thing that is not a way to get rid of a poltergeist at all. If you wanted to get rid of a poltergeist, you can call in a Reiki master, you can call in a priest, you can sage your house, plant evergreens. There's a whole list of things that you can do, but the number one thing is don't use a Ouija board.
Yeah, yeah. Or if you have strange things going on in your house, and whether it be a poltergeist or something, and you're still trying to investigate it yourself,
Mm-hmm.
do not use a Ouija board. That is like the last way to go.
Well, right, and it's
If you've never used a Ouija board before and you don't know what you're doing with it, I simply say stay away from it.
well, it's the same way. When we do a K2 session, um, we're not using a Ouija board, but we are using things to communicate. But we also use things, say things. We close it, we open it up, and we close it. And a lot of people don't close.
Right.
So, a Ouija board is just another way of communicating. It's no different from a pendulum. It's no different from us doing a K2 session. But it is how you open it and how you close it. And that is the key. And then as well as your objection to it. So, the content in which you are trying to talk to them. Are you, to communicate with them? So, there's a lot of factors in it.
So pretty much overall, if you don't know how to communicate with it, don't know how to open and close it, and don't know exactly how you want to address the entity, probably be best to get someone else involved, someone that's a little bit more knowledgeable than yourselves. That way we can assess the whole situation and find a way to communicate better than just being, I don't know, to me, it's crazy. I have so many words that I want to say, but it's just when you're investigating on your own, I can understand wanting to investigate. But you think if it's something that you think is going to be hurtful or evil or anything like that, definitely get the professionals involved. Other than that, it's kind of a crapshoot because I feel like if it's a poltergeist, you may not get much communication back if it's just an energy, because that's if it's just an energy. If it is an entity feeding off the negative energy or positive energy or just the
energy, right?
You may get some response back. I don't think you're going to get much back, though. I just don't feel like you would.
No.
So if you think it's a poltergeist activity, I would definitely get ASAP involved, or another paranormal group that's in your area involved, and let them investigate it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's we kind of went on a tangent with the whole communication thing.
Sorry.
No, we did. I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I mean, if you think about it, if it's an evil entity, a demon, or something like that that is trying to get in and communicate with you, they will play like they are the perfect little, maybe they'll play off that, oh, it's your great grandmother that passed away 20 years ago and she's just trying to make sure you're safe and all this other stuff.
Right.
Or it's a little girl that's just a little girl that died in the neighborhood and is wanting to play and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, entities and demons take on so many different forms to try and open that door. So you have to be careful when it comes to communicate with anything.
Right. Right.
So I guess that's kind of where I was going with that. It's just you got to be careful with it. Back on Poltergeist, I don't have really much more to say about it. I mean, there's it's another one of those that there's so many questions that could be answered. And if you have a question about them or whatever, definitely feel free to reach out to our website, A Presence from the Past. Reach out to our Facebook, A Presence from the Past. And, I mean, you could even go to ASIP's website, asupinc.org, and you can look on there. And if it's something that you feel like you want them to investigate, there's a link to click on that will make you fill out a little application for us to come out and investigate there. Those are all options, But if you want to reach out to us first, and if we feel like it'd probably be best to do a full-on investigation, we'll tell you, and we'll send you to the ASIP website to do that. But if we might be able to pull the answer and let you know or give you some direction, again, feel free to reach out to us. Anything else, Mama Tash?
No, I can't think of anything.
Really? Nothing?
Well, at least right now. Just know that just always be careful. Like anything, if you're going to investigate, go in pairs. Don't go by yourself.
Yeah. Look back at one of my previous podcasts where I talk about investigations and knowing where you are and, going in groups, if you're going to an investigation, let other people know where you're going and all that fun stuff.
And what is it? If one person sees it, it's just
It's
a
a cool story.
Yeah, it's a cool story. So,
Cool story, bro.
so buddy up.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks again, and until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.